Ethan Hale woke before sunrise. As he always did, his life ran on strict schedules, perfectly organized meetings, and a discipline that left no room for surprises. As the young CEO of Hale Enterprises, he was used to controlling every detail of his day, but the moment he opened the door of his penthouse that morning, everything he thought he controlled shattered in an instant. Right at his doorstep lay a baby wrapped in a soft yellow blanket, her tiny face barely visible, her breath warm and steady in the cool morning air. Ethan froze. For a long second, he wondered if he was dreaming, but then the baby moved slightly, letting out a small whimper that echoed through the quiet hallway. His heart thudded in confusion. He stepped closer, cautiously, almost afraid to breathe. Beside the baby was a small letter, folded neatly as if the person who left it wanted to make sure he wouldn't miss it. With trembling fingers, Ethan picked it up. The handwriting was delicate, almost familiar. When he unfolded the note, only one line stared back at him, a message that sent a sharp jolt of shock straight through his chest. "You promised to protect us." Ethan blinked, reading the line over and over, trying to force his brain to understand. Us? Who's us? And who wrote this? Memories he had buried deep began to rise. Memories of a girl with soft brown eyes and a voice that could calm storms. Lily. 4 years had passed since he last saw her, but the imprint she left on his life never truly faded. They had once shared dreams, whispered promises, and plans for a future that never happened. Life had pulled them apart, or maybe fear had. Ethan never allowed himself to think about it too long. Now, staring at the baby, he felt something crack inside him. His breath grew shallow. He crouched down and carefully lifted the baby into his arms. She was impossibly small, lighter than he imagined. Around her wrist was a tiny bracelet, with one name engraved. Mila. The name made his chest tighten painfully. A swirl of confusion, dread, and a strange sense of responsibility overwhelmed him. He carried the baby inside, shut the door behind him, and stood in the center of his living room, unable to move. The world he knew, sharp, controlled, predictable, was gone, and the note's words repeated in his mind, like a haunting echo. "You promised to protect us." The baby's soft cries echoed through the spacious penthouse, pulling Ethan out of his stunned disbelief. He had faced hostile takeovers, collapsed markets, and boardroom wars, yet nothing had ever made him as nervous as the tiny life now depending on him. He awkwardly shifted her in his arms, trying to remember anything he had ever seen in movies or on TV about holding a baby. Mila's face scrunched up, and she let out a louder cry, forcing Ethan into action. He spotted the baby bag beside the door and rushed to it, hoping to find a miracle inside. Inside were diapers, a bottle, formula packets, a small toy, and his breath caught a second envelope. His hands shook as he opened it, scared of what he might find. This letter was longer, written with the same delicate handwriting as the first. "Ethan, if you are reading this, it means I didn't make it. I tried. I really did. But the people following me were closing in. I had no choice. Mila is yours. She deserves safety, love, and a future I can't give her. You once promised to protect the people you love. I need you to keep that promise now. Signed, Lily." Ethan felt the room tilt slightly. He sat heavily onto the couch, Mila still crying in his arms. He read the letter again, slowly, carefully, unwilling to miss a single word. Lily was in danger, real danger, and she had trusted him with the one thing she valued most, her child. His phone buzzed on the table, dozens of reminders lighting up the screen. His 7 a.m. meeting, his presentation, his investor call. Things that once felt like life or death priorities now seemed meaningless compared to the tiny heartbeat pressed against his chest. A sudden knock on the door startled him. It was Marcus, his head of security. Marcus had checked the hallway cameras and seen everything. "Sir, are you all right?" Marcus asked gently, eyes widening at the sight of the baby. "I think." Ethan swallowed hard. "I think this is my daughter." Marcus blinked, stunned. "Do you want me to call the police?" "Or, no." Ethan's voice was firm. "No police. Not yet." Marcus understood instantly. "Whatever you need, sir. I'm here." Ethan looked down at Mila, who had finally calmed. Her tiny fingers curled around his shirt. A strange, powerful feeling settled in his chest. Not fear, not shock, but determination. He didn't know what danger Lily was running from, but he knew one thing for certain. He would protect this child, no matter what it cost him. The next 2 days passed in a blur of sleepless nights, bottle feedings, and countless moments where Ethan questioned everything he thought he knew about himself. Mila cried at unpredictable hours, demanded attention every minute, and refused to follow any schedule, something that made Ethan nearly lose his mind. Yet every time she finally fell asleep against his chest, tiny hands curled into fists, he felt a warmth spread through him that he had never experienced before. It terrified him and grounded him at the same time, but he didn't forget the danger. Not for a second. Ethan doubled his building security and ordered Marcus to discreetly investigate every camera within a 3-block radius. His team scanned hotel check-ins, monitored city traffic footage, and interviewed staff without raising suspicion. Ethan's instincts, sharp from years in business, told him that whoever was after Lily might come for Mila too. On the third afternoon, Marcus entered the penthouse with a grim expression. "Sir, we found something. A woman wearing a hooded jacket was seen leaving Mila at your door at 4:52 a.m. She kept her head down, but her height, posture, and build matched Lily." Ethan felt his throat tighten. He watched the footage carefully, frame by frame. Even though her face was hidden, he knew it was her. She moved quickly, checking over her shoulder every few seconds. Anxious and terrified, the clip ended with her disappearing into the stairwell. Ethan replayed it over and over, until it hurt to breathe. The image of her fear haunted him. Meanwhile, the outside world had started to notice. A paparazzi photograph leaked online. Ethan holding a baby near a window. Headlines erupted instantly. Secret heir. CEO hiding a child. Scandal or surprise. Ethan ignored all of it, refusing to let public noise distract him from what mattered. Late that night, Ethan was feeding Mila when he noticed something small. Her tiny dimple, appearing just for a second. When she relaxed, Lily had the same dimple. The sight hit him so hard his eyes burned. "I'm here," he whispered to Mila, voice trembling. "I'm here, and I'm not leaving." Just then Marcus rushed into the room, his face pale. "Sir, we have a problem." Ethan stood immediately. "What happened?" Marcus swallowed hard. "A man has been watching the building for days. He tried to access the service entrance, and we believe he's not here for you, sir. He's here for the baby." Cold fear slashed through Ethan. The danger Lily had escaped had now found them, and he was running out of time to uncover the truth. Ethan didn't wait for morning. Within an hour of Marcus's warning, he had relocated Mila to a private, heavily guarded safe house just outside the city. The place was quiet, surrounded by thick trees, and protected by security systems that only a few government buildings could match. As he carried Mila inside, an unsettling thought echoed through him. Lily had known this danger was coming long before he did, and she had trusted him with the one thing she loved more than her own life. Determined to uncover the truth, Ethan worked non-stop. His investigators dug deep, far deeper than any normal search would allow. They tracked Lily's last movements, questioned people she once worked with, and followed digital footprints she tried to erase. Slowly, pieces of the puzzle began to connect. Lily hadn't been running from a single person. She had been running from an entire organization. She had taken a job at a financial firm that on the surface seemed legitimate, but underneath, it was part of a massive criminal network involved in money laundering, trafficking, and illegal data transfers. Lily, smart and curious, had discovered files she wasn't meant to see. When she tried to report it, the organization turned its sights on her. From that moment, she became a target. Ethan felt his stomach twist as he read through the files she had left behind. She had saved everything she could onto a tiny USB drive, one hidden deep inside Mila's diaper bag. Only someone who truly trusted him would hide evidence that way. Using his influence, Ethan contacted federal authorities and handed over the files. What followed was a whirlwind of arrests. raids, and investigations. The network collapsed within days, unable to survive the evidence. Lily had risked everything to gather, but the one thing Ethan wanted most. A sign of Lily remained painfully absent. Authorities found her car near an abandoned warehouse. Keys still inside. Her phone was discovered smashed nearby. But there was no body, no witness, no final clue. She had vanished into thin air, leaving only her daughter behind. Weeks passed. Mila grew stronger, fussier, and more attached to Ethan than he ever expected. Every night, he held her close and whispered stories about her mother, her courage, her kindness, her laughter. He promised her safety, love, and a lifetime of protection. One quiet evening, as Mila slept peacefully in his arms, Ethan looked out the window and whispered into the darkness, "I kept my promise, Lily, and I'll keep it for the rest of my life." Mila stirred slightly, her tiny hand resting against his heart. And in that moment, Ethan understood. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning of a new life for both of them.